Demand. Go to mynorthwest.com and click podcasts. KIRO Radio 97.3 FM. News and talk. Powered by the Pacific Northwest.
The Fastest 15, it's brought to you by IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. They allow us to bring this to you commercial free. This is our number two.
It's time for the fastest 15 minutes in the news. This is Dori's Fastest 15.
Oh, it's a world of news in a tidy little 15-minute package just for you. Welcome to our Fastest 15. We're also streaming on Facebook Live for the Fastest 15. So, I'm up in bed a couple of nights ago. My wife's sound asleep. I have this horrible hangnail on my big toe.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. So I had to, try to,
In bed?
Huh?
You were trying to deal with it in bed?
Yeah, I was trying to deal with it in bed. Yeah.
You need to go to the bathroom for that.
Well, so I learned.
It's gross, and people are eating lunch right now.
No.
Careful.
No, it
Neither
was
Nicole nor I knew this story was coming up, so
No,
we're just going to
it was
apologize
just-
now.
It was kind of one of those funny moments in a marriage because it turned into a gusher.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. So now,
Gross.
it was awful. So now I've got to
Like as
try.
in blood?
So were you?
Yeah.
You were just
Oh.
trying to pull it off instead of getting some
It
clippers.
was,
Okay.
I'm not going
Oh
to
my
go through the
gosh.
whole techniques because people are eating
Clearly
lunch
there
right
were
now.
none.
But so I've got to try to get to the bathroom as you originally suggested, Ursula. And
Your wife's a saint. If my husband's cutting his toenails in the bed, that's not
Well, I
a
wasn't
good day.
kind of,
night.
I was just, using
Digging
my,
around.
my-
Okay.
my fingers. But anyway, so then I notice we just put in new carpeting about, I don't know, a year ago. And I noticed that I've got, blood on the carpet.
Splotches.
Yeah, droplets. So I'm trying to make it down the hall to the closet where we have the Band-Aids and gauze. And
Are you making a ruckus? Are you being quiet? Or are you...
I'm being quiet.
Okay.
And what time is this?
It's midnight-ish.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So then, and here's my whole point. So then I go downstairs and I get the carpet cleaner, and all that does is it
Smears it.
it makes it a big brownish red spot on the carpet.
Can I suggest zero res?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So then yesterday, I say to my wife, hey, because I'm never the one to say, let's change the sheets. It's always her, weekly at least we do. And she's always the one who initiates it. And I go, hey, honey, let's change the sheets. And she goes, why? And I come clean, so to speak. And she goes, oh, and it's like on our nice down quilt.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
my-
What
And-
did you do to your toe?
I know, it's awful. And so then she starts to, chastise me. But we've been married now for 32 years. And I said, wait a second. I'm not the first person to ever get blood in the bedding.
Oh, good grief.
Oh, my
Are
gosh.
you serious?
You're done. Do you need
Why
stitches?
are we
That's
starting-
what we'd like to know.
I mean,
What?
I don't know
Stop.
if you know this.
Okay, we're moving
That
on.
was your argument?
you
Oh, my
guys-
okay,
gosh.
okay,
You
stop.
guys get
That's just
like
We
a
are
toe
so
hangnail
done.
every 30 days.
Stop. Oh, my gosh. I can't even believe that.
It was,
just happened.
it was just one of those
I
little
feel like I
moments in a
failed at
marriage.
my job to rein in the show.
It was one of those moments in a marriage
Yeah.
that struck both of us very funny. And I thought, and she actually thought that
No.
was a funny observation.
Huh.
So whenever
30 years.
whenever
30 years in. Okay.
Whenever
Yeah.
I have that rare observation that makes both of us laugh, I feel almost an obligation to share that
Sometimes
with our
the
listeners.
reason it's funny is because she's your wife. She thinks you're funny.
no, believe me, that ended about 31 years ago, her thinking I was funny. Man. So anyway, zero res, huh?
Yes, for
Okay,
sure.
all right. Okay,
The
done.
best.
Good grief.
Okay, that part wasn't planned.
Wow.
Here's the thing.
Happy Friday.
I actually have
Next week will
I
be
actually have a
better.
real story to share with our listeners.
This
Yeah,
is how
we
you
planned on
normally
this
react
one.
to me talking, so I'm glad I'm out of this one.
The thing is, I've been trying to resist telling this story for 2 days on the show. All day yesterday, because this happened 2 days ago. And I said, no, I can't do it. And then the first hour today, I thought, no, I can't do it. And then sometimes I just can't help myself.
You know what's usually correct? Your gut.
I
Gut said it
Correct.
first.
No.
Your
No.
brain-
I almost went with my gut last night, and you were going to kill me if I had. I was going to send an email.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah. No,
that's
yeah,
right.
we're
No,
good.
we're
You
good.
told... No, wait a second.
Correct.
You just last night in an all-caps
I know, and I
text
don't do that often.
told me
Do not
do
send
not
that.
go with your gut.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't know that was your gut speaking.
And he went with his gut last night and tried to clip his toenail and ended up bleeding everywhere.
Stop.
So don't go with
Everybody
your gut.
stop now. Okay, now I'm sorry.
Yeah, look what you started.
I know. It's
Okay.
all my... Oh, doggone it. What have I done? Oh, by the way, I just wanted to give a little plug. My friends in the terrific cover band, Pseudo Tramp, they're doing a big show at the Everett Historic Theater Saturday at 7:30, playing the whole Crime of the Century album. And Everett Theater is a great historical place, and I know that they're booking things to try to save the place because they're, these old theaters. It's tough because they need more help as the years go by, just like people. And so anyway, if you want to have a fun night, Saturday 7:30, go see Pseudo Tramp up at the Everett Theater.
They do an excellent job, by the way. I went online and checked out some of their songs to see how close they are.
Oh,
they
they're really good.
sound
Yeah, no, they're really
exactly
good.
like
Yeah.
Supertramp.
I've seen them a couple of times. Okay, now you said, and I hope your story isn't nearly as disgusting as
No,
mine.
it's disgusting in a different way, and it's very serious, and it has nothing to do with hangnails. Oh my word!
Okay, what happened? Because you
This
had
is just not going to be an easy transition.
well,
but
that's
yeah.
why I
Okay.
gave you the little Supertramp buffer there. Let's just forget about everything that preceded it.
Okay, yeah, this is actually, we talk about scammers and people preying on elderly people
Yeah.
around here all the time, right? And it just gets very personal when you hear it happen to your own mom, and that's what happened in my mom's case.
Yes.
And this happened yesterday. She got a call yesterday afternoon, and I feel terrible because I told you I was on my way. I was rushing out of here to go get an MRI done.
Right.
So she had called and she just said, Ursula, did you pay? Because my dad has been in a rehab center for several months, right?
Yeah.
So I've taken over their finances and just helping my mom out. She's 83, my dad's 88. And she said, did you pay the city light bill? And I said, well, I haven't gotten a bill. I would have paid it if we had one, but, there's nothing due. And she goes, I just got a call. And I'm rushing off. I just got to tell you that apparently it hasn't been paid in 3 months. And so I'm going off to the MRI, and my mom's dealing with this thing. Well, I come out of the MRI appointment, and she tells me that she almost got scammed. So, and this is something that happens a lot, and it has a happy ending only because there was a Rite Aid employee who helped her out.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so she got this call yesterday, and she says they were going to disconnect her power in 30 minutes. That should be the first red flag.
Because you haven't paid your bill for 3 months. And he says it's about $398. And I said, oh, yeah, can I just pay that? I don't want to be disconnected. So can I just pay that on my credit card or my debit card?
And they said, no, we want you to, because we need to do it quickly, we want you to pay through a cash card. And they gave her all these instructions about how to go. They knew where the local pharmacies were around her neighborhood and
Yeah.
said, why don't you go there? And they said they would keep in contact with her. So she was pretty convinced.
I said, but it will take me about 15 to 20 minutes to be there. And he said, yeah, it's okay. Give me your cellular number, and we can maybe guide you in, what to do.
So then she rushed.
How old's your mom?
83.
Okay.
But you've met her. My
Yes,
mom does not look 83.
No,
she
she's
is
a sweetheart.
She's a sweetheart. She is smart. She always tells me, "Don't be so gullible. Don't because I'm very trusting, and I always give people the benefit of that." And she's like, "Don't trust them, right?"
Right.
But in this case, all these things kind of lined up because my dad's been sick. She's and I said, yeah, I hadn't paid the bill, but I hadn't gotten one. So anyway, so then so she went into the Rite Aid, and thankfully, there was an alert employee named Sandy who talked to her, and when she was saying, "Where do I buy one of these cards that I'm supposed to get?"
And she said, "Oh, no, that's a scam." She says, "We don't give any prepaid, anything like that at all for any disconnect of power." And I said, "Oh, my gosh." And I believed him so much that I had to rush here.
And so she goes home, and the scammers call back. And so this is how she responded.
They called again, and I said, "You scammer." I said, "Don't ever call me again." I said, "You are a scam, and don't ever, ever call me again."
And was there?
Well, she actually threw in a few other words, but
good for her. Was there a return number on her cell phone?
They gave a return number. So then my sister called City Light and was like, "Oh no, your bill's just fine. You're good."
Yeah.
Of course, and
Did you
again,
call
like
the
I said,
police?
we haven't yet, but I'm going to.
Okay. Just
But it's happening so much.
I know it. And imagine getting inside the head of how despicable a human being could talk to your mom who, like you said, doesn't look 83, but on the phone she sounds 83.
Yeah.
And that they work so hard. And if they're that elaborate at setting up a scam, they could make an honest living. They have just decided that they would rather scam elderly people than to make it an honest living. What horrible human being.
Absolutely. But I also want to point out that there was a wonderful human being who paid attention and sees my mom come in
Sandy.
and says, "Yeah, Sandy at Rite Aid." She says, "No, that's gonna. They're trying to take your money."
Yeah.
So thank God.
And the other message is, if you are ever in the midst of being victimized, if you can call the cops,
I know,
and set up a sting,
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, and the truthful thing is, something similar to this almost happened to my dad, and it was that when there was that scam going around where people saying, "Hey, you've got someone you love is in jail, and you need to bail him out in Mexico," and it was like my dad's thinking, "Oh, it could be my grandson," not my kid, but it was wrong age at that time.
You got a nephew? You got a nephew that it could have been?
No, but he was in fact in Mexico, and we're thinking, "Oh my God, did he party too hard and he ends up in jail?"
Sure.
So I mean, the crazy thing is, you can make yourself believe like, this is possible.
Well, you don't think as clearly at 83 as you did at 53.
Anyway, but like I said, my mom is smart as a whip, and was helped in time.
I'm glad you talked to her and got that audio.
Yeah,
to share
she
it
talked.
with everybody.
Yeah, she talked to. She's a cutie patootie, but she spoke with Jillian, and she was first. She said, "Nah, I'm not going to do it on radio," and then she said, "Wait a minute, I can help." So,
yeah, okay.
Anyway.
And the other thing that's a particular shame is what I just suggested. If you could call the cops and if you could set up a sting, they'd get kicked loose in 24 hours because it's a property crime, and we don't prosecute people for that. So it's really sad. It's bad.
And one more little piece of advice: City Light will never say that they're going to shut your power off right away, and they'll never tell you to buy anything on a gift card.
Yeah. Nah. By the way, at 2:00 in the Big Lead, we're going to talk to a business owner who his employee was threatened with a knife by a guy who has over 100 convictions. So this is how we're just turning people back out on the streets around here. Okay, next up in the Fastest 15, Value Village is now gone from Seattle. The last Seattle location is closing. That's the one up in Crown Hill. And they had a whole bunch of others around the city. They still are around in the burbs. But when you combine, and this isn't talked about in the Time story about this, but when you combine the highest minimum wage, in the region with the rampant shoplifting that's going on in Seattle, with the fact that, these places operate on a real thin margin. And I was never a Value Village shopper, even when I was really poor.
Not even for Halloween costumes?
I don't
Value
know.
Village is a great place to go for.
I remember going to Goodwill when I was a little kid just to get, like, school clothes. But I don't even know if Value Village was around when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But it's just another local industry that has to leave the city because the combination of crime, minimum wage, all the things that are making it so tough on business. And then there's a story in the Times this morning about a clash on Lake Union between paddle boarders and Kenmore Air. And I should do full disclosure here. My son-in-law is a pilot for Kenmore Air, and I know the family a little bit that owns Kenmore Air, and I just think that they are a salt-of-the-earth Seattle company, one of those heritage Seattle companies, and they are trying to get a safe way to take off and land on Lake Union because there are so many paddle boarders out on the lake. And so I was reading the comments in this Time story, and about half the comments were, Kenmore Air should just get out of Lake Union. And it was just all these, newbie, techie paddle boarders. And Lake Union has always been a working lake that has provided blue-collar jobs. And here you got a legacy Seattle business. They have an incredible safety record. And I was disgusted when I read all these comments that were slamming them, said, well, they should just move everything out to Kenmore and just get out of Seattle. And that seems to be the attitude of all these newbies in town is, let's get rid of everything that's part of our signature. I mean, what could be more of a signature heritage symbol of Seattle than our seaplanes and the float planes? And
I think that
it's disgusting to look at.
Kenmore area is suggesting that an area during certain times be off limits to paddle boarders.
Well, yeah,
and
they need about a 5,000-foot strip of water so they can take off and land safely.
I am surprised. I mean, on a busy summer afternoon, it is crazy out there. I mean, it is crazy on Lake Union.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed that planes can land on Lake Union.
I'm amazed that paddle boarders will go into an area where they know planes are landing.
So it seems like it wouldn't be, make sense to just say, hey, this area is kind of during these landing hours or takeoff hours.
And that's all they were saying. They were saying, if power boats want to go through that strip and, they can get out of the way, that's fine. But these, canoes and paddle boarders, they can't move fast enough. And these pilots are coming in. Kenmore Air's been doing this for 80-some years. And all of these prissy little newbies want to take over and take away a working lake and part of the heritage of Seattle, and I just wanted to stand up. It's not just because I got family there, but they're great people. They're wonderful people. And that is your Fastest 15.
This has been the Fastest 15 Minutes in the news. Fast. Dori's Fastest 15.
You give us 15 minutes, we'll give you my toe. Okay, I am shocked at what ABC and CBS have done in the last 48 hours. And you should be too. It's absolutely disgusting. Aiding and abetting child rape. And I will explain coming up next. This hour of the Dori Monson Show